What did he say? Hi, Bill. Hi, Nora.
Yeah, so we're recording it off.
Frieda, what are you doing up there on the stage? This is so much Shakespeare.
Well, you know that Larry Randall is the top, Carolyn Soley, and Michelle.
Yes.
I've
And then
never
there's
seen
a new one. My foot was still not, I didn't get it back. Okay, then there's.
You're good to go whenever you want. I have it recording.
Tom says he's
David,
I have it recording. I'll trim out the beginning, so whenever you guys are ready to start, feel free to start. Yeah.
oh, yeah, all right, yeah, well, he is actually. Oh, Bob, that's right, Bob Dylan, right. Yeah,
I have a
Bob's-
question. What does that
Yeah,
mean?
but I'm not sure, I didn't get, we didn't have time.
What it
to talk
says.
about everything. But he
The
he
Residence
wanted
Council
equipment for framing the picture.
connections with the
And then I said, do you
Residence
want to work or
Council.
something, and he didn't answer.
That's how I understood it,
So,
just literal.
you know, when, and I mentioned, he mentioned Larry and those others, but. No, I'm gonna order it, just someone,
Yeah.
I read it.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it, I'm a member of the Newcomb's Peace Committee.
But, okay, okay. Yeah, I'm tempted to do that. I don't really like that.
Hold it up very close to your chin.
No, I'd rather hold it, actually.
Bring it closer.
Yeah, not to hold it.
Y'all can
Just get closer to it.
It's mine.
Yes.
We should close the doors, I think, maybe. Oh, Angel, thank you so much.
Somebody's gonna get in touch with you about suggestions for, you know, Bob and Charles already did that. Oh. Just asked it.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We all know who our special guest is this afternoon. Frieda Feldman.
Yes, that's me. I promise, that's really me.
All right, very good. So, here we go. Frieda, you're the poet,
Yes,
and you are a very active member of the poetry group. Right?
Yes.
We meet once a month, is that
we
correct?
meet once a month. Kappa is in charge, and anyone who wants to come and listen is welcome to come and listen. Some people, I always bring what I write because that's what I do. But some people just bring a poem that they happen to like and want to share, and that's fine too. That's what we do.
Does anyone else write like you? Or
Yes, there are several people.
Kappa?
Yeah, Kappa, and actually, Michelle has written some beautiful poetry. And Larry has written some beautiful poetry. It's a place where even if you don't realize that you can write poetry, you write poetry. And in my opinion, poetry is not abstract and distant and up in a castle somewhere. Poetry is waking up in the morning and looking around and observing what the world is like. That's poetry. It does not have to be grandiose, does not have to be big. And Shakespeare wrote magnificent poetry, but he wrote of his time. He wrote how people spoke in that time, which is absolutely different from now, right?
You began writing fiction when you were very small, seven years old.
Yes. when I was a middle child and invisible, as you may have imagined. If any of you are middle children, you'll know what I mean. So I would sit on the front step with a pencil and a pad, and I decided I would write a novel. But it was very boring. And I wrote about 3 or 4 pages, and then I realized, no, this takes too long. So I wrote a little poem, and I said, that's much better. you know, so that's what I did thereafter.
Yes, at 10 years old, you
I-
wrote poetry.
yeah. I've been
You
writing,
never looked back.
never looked back. I've been writing poetry since 10 years old, yeah.
Okay. Now, looking at, you had so many different careers in your life, and when you married an ocean,
Put the mic.
you married an ocean lifeguard.
I lived on boats, I've lived next to the sea. There's something about the ocean that I find very important. The flow, the ebb and the flow of the ocean is so beautiful, it's like music to me. So that's where I've lived a lot of my time, yes.
Yeah, talking about music, you said that you use music all the time in your life, but especially writing your poetry.
I listen to music a lot. I like blues, I like jazz, I like classical music. I like whatever appeals to my ear. I've gone to Carnegie Hall to concerts, and I have sat on the street corner in Greenwich Village and listened to concerts, both equally weighted and equally beautiful.
Now, you had this incredible career as a registered nurse.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, which is just astounding. That's a big study.
Mhm.
It's not a quick thing to become a registered nurse.
Well, I became a nurse at the age of 35 because New York State at that time was in desperate need of nurses, similar to what's happening now. And if you could complete the course at Nassau County Community College, you would get a registered nurse degree if you took all the required courses and all the college courses, and I knew I could do it. I had twins, so I didn't have an older child and a younger child in the house. They were equal, and they dealt with it themselves. One is a son and one is a daughter, yes.
Yeah, so when they left home, graduated from, they went off to college, right?
Then, yeah, at a certain point, they both went off to college at the same time, and we saw them through college. We worked as a group. We had to get both of them through college. That was our project. And we did that. And then we sold our house on Long Island and moved to Key Largo. And we lived first on a little island called Captiva off Sanibel Island. And that was very interesting. It was a very small, young sailing community there of young people who were building non-traditional boats. And my husband was very active in the new multi-hull boat movement. So when he came there, the young people really loved him. They needed him because he knew all the designers of those boats. And if they had a problem, he would say, well, I'll just call up and get you an answer. And they said, you can call up? And he said, yeah. Because for him it was ordinary to call up when he needed an answer in something in the structure that he was doing. And the kids loved him, and he had a wonderful time.
And so you moved to Key Largo.
Then we moved on to Key Largo.
Yes, and the kids were off, your twins.
And they were college people, and they graduated.
Yes.
And oddly enough, they are both psychologists. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe I better not. One is a clinical psychologist and one is a social psychologist. And they have worked together. They were in the early movement of the meditation movement. And they were, when Kabat-Zinn was starting, they were starting too. So they go back a long way in that.
And they have continued. with
They have
that.
continued, and they
Yeah.
have written books together, yeah.
Yeah. And their names again?
Their names? Nina, Smiley, and David Harp. They don't say Feldman because they use it on their books.
So you have three books published or more?
I have 3 books. I've had many articles and poems written in groups, but I don't have them with me now. But the book Pillow Poems is particular to Mohawk.
Were that created there? Pillow poems were created.
I wrote them because my daughter was in charge of merchandising and advertising, and she said, we need something different. We don't want a chocolate on a pillow. So I said, oh, I'll give you poems. So that's how this evolved, pillow poems. And I write still so that every night people get a different poem on their pillow. And there's a very good artist, designer, see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Who has, this looks like a little linen card, but it has a poem on it. And each poem has to be different every night. So I've been writing for a long time.
Literally, when you wake up in the morning, you begin.
This is my job, non-paying, of course. My job is to have a new little pleasant, lovely, happy poem on your pillow every night. That's my job.
Is that here at Woodland Pond?
No, Mohawk. Oh, no. Wouldn't you love that at Woodland Pond, the poem, the pillow poem every night? Can you imagine?
The new one, I thought
Well,
the health center.
Mhm.
The health center.
Ah, yes, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
What's this?
Betsy suggesting a pillow poem for the health center people.
Oh, I can give you what you like. I'll talk to you later. Sure. If you think it would be useful, I'm very open to volunteering them, of course.
Great idea, Betsy. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
We can do that. So, you were writing a book, or two books, aren't you? Two
I'm
books?
working on 2 books at the same time, which keeps me very busy, and isolate, which is what, you have to be isolated in order to write. And I'm sure many of you have written, and you realize that. You cannot be a social butterfly and a writer. It does not work. So you can do either very well, but you can't do both. So I'm writing a new book right now called Sooner or Later. And I'll read you the little poem. Sooner or later, off we go, like I told you, with the wind at our backs, feet over the pavement by inches, moving, always to the next place. Sooner or later, we all pass by. And that's my title, and that's what I'm working on.
And I'm looking at the title of another book, Listening. Is that a new book, or is that one that you wrote?
Listening is one that I completed a couple of years ago, before I moved here. It's called Listening. It's a beautiful cover that was done for me by an artist friend of mine. And we had many an argument about it, because he wanted to put the picture on the cover full, and I said, no, it has to be long and not full. And I said, it's my cover. So we accommodated to each other, because I wanted the title, since it was one word, to go vertical. And he, as an artist, wanted to use space for art. But we still spoke after that.
This one that you showed me just recently, this one. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Which one is it?
This book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an interesting
Because
book.
the cover, the image is so evocative.
This is called 2 Short Ladies, 100 Short Poems. We, and my friend, we're still good friends, and we still sometimes write together. But this was evocative of the time, of 2 ladies working together, cooperating and working and writing. So we each took turns writing poems, and that's what the book is. It's like a call and answer kind of poem book. And I really like it. And we also have some interesting little poems and different kinds of poems. And haiku, there's a section on haiku which I love, because it's so simple and so direct, and you have to compress so much into 5, 7, 5 syllables. And if you can't do that, then you're not writing a haiku. But this book, we started with a haiku, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, I just like the image so much. And this is something that you designed,
Yes.
right? Did you also take the picture?
I found the picture, this is a picture of two women, older women, clearly. All you see is their legs and feet, and you realize one of them is very formal, and the other one is not formal. It was done on purpose to say how we felt. We had a couple of good arguments about it, but it worked out well.
Oh, I think, I love it. It's fantastic. A little shoe history as well.
Okay, here's a picture of us on the back. I just realized there was
Oh.
a picture of the two of us on the back.
How wonderful.
Hold it up.
It's hard to see even closer.
It's kind of small, yeah.
We can come up later.
You bet. I know what you're looking for.
Mhm.
There we go. Oh, yes, I'm sure you agree with me, people. Please come up and rifle through all this wonderful material.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, not quite, because you have an ending. Remember?
Oh, I have an ending.
Yes.
What is my ending? Let's see. And here we are.
You.
Here I am. That my ending is, here I am. And that's that. So, being a poet doesn't mean you can't be practical and understand what life is and laugh as best you can. If you can laugh every day, then you'll be fine. And if you can't laugh, find somebody who will make you laugh.
That's very good. Oh, right. Thank you, dear Frieda.
You're welcome.
Yes. So,
Read some
Q&A.
poems.
I'm sorry.
You read some poems.
Oh, yes, she will do that.
What?
Would you read? Remember, we were talking about reading.
Yeah, do you want me to read a poem?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. How about I read listening?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. This is the poem, the signature poem. After a while, I could hear snowfall falling. You know what, my glasses.
Do you want me to hold that for you?
Oh,
Sure.
when you get old, life has certain requirements. Glasses is one of them.
Or when you're younger, too.
Okay, we're ready, for real. Okay, listening. After a while, I could hear snow fall, unraveling from the sky, where white banks shredded flakes and sent them all around. I heard the patterns change, no two alike, I'm told. But no one ever spoke of music, so I listened as they touched the ground, intent on comprehending snowfall's sound. Now, that's what snow sounds like.
That's beautiful.
So I am going to close with a little poem, two little poems that you would find on your pillow in Woonsocket. As often as I can remember to sing a joyful song, it opens wide my heart to love, and I am strong. And that's typical of the kind of poems I write for Woonsocket. The other one is, there's more to life than a can of beans, more than a steak and champagne. If you learn to walk in the sunshine, you learn to dance in the rain. That's another one. So, but if I were to bring my whole collection of little poems, I need a barrel to pull them in, so this is indicative of what I do.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Will you accept Q&A now? Is that all right? Q&A questions are.
Yes, of course, if anyone has questions, I'm
Yes.
perfectly happy to answer as best I can.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Might be good if they came up.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jacob.
Okay, Frieda, I was wondering if you could talk about, on the one hand, you were working as a nurse, on the other hand, you already had an abiding interest in poetry and
Yeah.
writing poems. Were you able to get much poetry written during your nursing career, and how long did that last before you came here?
I worked as a nurse for about 32 years. And I found that the poems came when they were ready. But of course, in hospital, you focus on what you must do. So I guess I used both sides of my brain, Wayne, right? I never thought about it.
Would you tell us the story you told me about your technique when you had a patient who was, you had to turn someone over, move them, and what you did to get help?
The old lady.
Or you
Oh, I know what you mean. I had worked in a county hospital, and many times as a registered nurse, I would be alone with patients because that's the way it was. And if I had to move or turn a patient in bed, I discovered that I cannot, being a small person, move a large person over or help them sit up or pull them up. And I realized that it would be a disaster for my patient and for me. So I would go into the hallway and see who was in the hall. And whoever large person was in the hall, I would say, could you come and help me? Now, very non-typical of registered nurses, I know that. But it worked. And the guy who came down the hall sweeping the floor would put his broom aside and come and help me. And he was so pleased to be helpful. It was a good experience for him and for me, and certainly for the patient. So the patient was successfully transferred. I didn't hurt my back, and the man who was pushing the broom felt like my hero. And that I did that all the time. So I guess I was not a typical nurse at any time, but it worked.
Thank you. I think that's just a marvelous story. George.
So you lived in Key Largo for several years?
A long time, yes.
Now, for me, Key Largo was very mysterious, Humphrey Bogart, Edward G. Robinson, a very dangerous but exciting place. And then you came straight to Woodland Pond, from one to the other?
No, I lived in Vermont in the summer
Oh, okay.
for many
But
years.
still, the contrast between there and here.
It was a remarkable contrast, and I didn't realize how difficult it would be, yes. But it worked.
Here you are.
Here I am.
Frieda, do you read poetry in other languages?
Excuse me?
You read poetry in
What?
other languages?
Yes, I like very much Mary Oliver, Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost, and some other much more obscure poets probably. But I like the sound of it. I'm non-critical. If I like it, I like it. I don't say, why did he say this or that? I say, oh, I like it, and that works. Why do you say that, Jenna?
About other languages, like for instance,
Like
in
French,
French or
German.
Spanish or
Spanish.
Yeah.
other.
Spanish poetry is beautiful. I like the music of it.
Do you speak?
I speak such rudimentary Spanish that I'd be embarrassed to say anything other than hello. When I lived in Key Largo, I worked with a lot of Mexican migrant workers, and they were marvelous, wonderful, thoughtful, kind people.
Thank you.
I
Yes,
live
it
in
is.
Hi, Frieda.
Yes.
I live in 505 South.
That
When
just,
will I get my poem on my pillow?
I'll have to see about that, Adele.
George?
I'll make you a poem.
I don't think people heard that.
Yeah.
She was asking when she gets her poem on her pillow.
I told her where I live,
Yes.
so she could deliver it.
305 South was
505.
505 South. So there's a commission for you.
And to Betsy. Oh, thank you, Jacob.
Are you related to some of the Smileys at Mohawk? You mentioned something about that.
Yes.
Am I related to someone at Mohawk?
Are you related to the people who, the Mohawk people?
I am close to them, yes.
And what-
I have
You
had,
need Mohawk. Do you need Mohawk?
Mohawk, yeah.
Yeah, because you're saying Woodland Pond, so.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
What is your relationship to people, to the Mohawk family?
I have a lot of people at Mohawk because my daughter has lived there for many years, and I've come and gone from Mohawk many times, and stopped in passing from Key Largo to Vermont many times. So, yeah, and Sandra Smiley just moved here, and I've known her for 45 years.
Are you related to these people?
I am related to my daughter who lives
Your
there.
daughter is part of the Mohawk family?
Yes, she is, yeah. Well,
No more questions.
what, Jacob, did you have a question?
no.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for being such a wonderful questioner. Thank you. She knows exactly how I think, so her questions were wonderful.
Thank you for coming along to this wonderful afternoon moment.
She said she doesn't like poetry, that's great news.
You want to say things about living
No,
in
there
Woodland?
was-
People dying. Bill Warbesh died. He was such a good man. I don't know how he died.
Oh, they didn't.
Yeah, want to put you a little there, and you can do a whole. It's a soup. Okay, I don't want you to have it spilled.
Oh, there's one here on the side. On the side of your, which is where I work a lot on in our workshop.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so I'm gonna read that.
Oh, yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I'm sure that you must have an extra.
Since you've been mentioning,
Oh, okay, yes.
well, maybe tonight, she's got a.
It's my book.
Right, tell me, this is the question.
At 4 I had a conference call with my
She,
Oh,
she was around.
oh.
If I had seen her, I
No.
would have said,
What David told you.
yeah, but the problem is, it's not her.
Did a good job.
So, yeah, but
Current events.
That went really well.
email about.
At the current events,
Really wonderful.
yesterday, the topic is
I
about
couldn't go, but I made a reservation for
land conservation.
What
I
happened
said,
is I tried to be as clear as I
you know, Suzanne's always busy with
But the
outsiders.
proposed topic.
I didn't say that, that was me. She, I don't know if they know who Burbage, but I figured if they were interested in going to that, they'd call me in case. I don't think so. So I, I called,
Dave or Rick?
No,
I
neither.
thought that was the
There's
best
another
thing to do. Representative who I connect with Bill Burbage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Spencer.
Oh, Spencer Smith, yes.
So,
Females.
yeah. So she brought up
No wonder I saw your daughter last week. No wonder.
Yes.
presentation.
Exactly.
Very interesting and very,
Mix and match.
I'm glad you went fast.
I would say probably not
I'm
your
sure.
Okay, I'll show
He
you.
won't care.
I was talking about it.
But
reverse
that was very good.
Oh, thank you.
this certification.
It's a little tricky, you know, certification.
Yeah.
The time we spent together in the arts.
By
They
bringing
went first.
Yes, we sure did.
animals.
Long overdue.
So I can make it very short, Lord, that was
You don't have to
Well,
answer.
let's come back
Well,
there.
thank you, that was fun.
Because that was fun, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you, thank you.
It's what I do.
Thanks, Connor.
You're welcome.